Hey everyone, hopefully you have a good day. My name's Andy. My channel's Finding Value. Click the thumb up button, help me out. And subscribe if you guys are interested in learning about financial education. If you guys are interested in the commodity boom that's coming, join us, join the channel, join everybody in this community, and let's just ride this thing higher together. Help each other out. Now, I'm going to call this is a financial education one. I call it Finding Rhythm. And when I was a new investor, I did not have my rhythm right. And what you're going to notice is when people are very good at something, professionals, whatever it may be, what they do is they find a rhythm. They get in a rhythm, they find it, and then they learn, they get wisdom, they learn about the tracks, they get better at doing something, they find their rhythm. And as an investor, what happens with most people is they never find their rhythm and they don't make any money. The rhythm is the heartbeat or the cycle of the market. And you need to match your rhythm with the cycle of the market. You need to understand what these cycles and the frequency of these cycles and how they repeat and move from up cycles to down cycles. And what I'm referring to is the economic cycle and the real estate cycle. So I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to say, we as an investor, one of the best things that you can do is find your rhythm, but your rhythm is going to have to match the rhythm of real estate cycle and economic cycles. And I'm going to show you how this is all connected. So let's jump in here and let's find our rhythm. So what is a rhythm? This is a wave. Cosine wave, sine wave, doesn't really matter. They're all the same. So we've got this wave going up and down. The size of the waves, the amplitude, the wavelength is from peak to peak or from bottom to bottom. That's your wavelength. Your frequency is how many waves you've compressed in here. That's how frequent the waves are. And then your speed is just the speed of this entire wave moving through time. So that is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about that wavelength. I'm talking about the frequency. So let's look at this. And just an FYI, if you wanted to know, colors, we perceive colors at different wavelengths. And what happens is, and this isn't finance related, I just wanted to share this with everybody. If you have a yellow shirt on, your shirt absorbs all of the colors except it reflects yellow back at you. So it excites the electrons in the shirt of that color. It jumps from one state and then the electron goes back and it emits a yellow wavelength when that electron goes from a higher state to a lower state and emits that wavelength out. And we see that wavelength in our eyes, which is the color yellow. Just wanted to say that. So here's market cycles. This is our wave. This is one wave from bottom to bottom. Recovery phase, expansion phase, hypersupply phase, and recession phase in real estate. And I'm not going to go too deep in this, but that's one cycle. It's from bottom to top to bottom. Now, the cycles in real estate, they're 18 years. That means it's 9 years up, 9 years down, roughly. So let's look at this. 18, 18, 18, 18, 17, 18, 48. There's a big kind of move. The cycle got disrupted in here, 48, 6, and then we're getting back into a 10, 17, and I think we're going to see like a 20 or something like that. But the cycle is roughly 18. The peaks in construction cycle are very similar to the peaks in land value cycles. So these are very close in cycles to each other. If you notice, they're a year or two off. And then the peaks in the business cycle are also very close to the peaks in construction cycle. 18, 20, 20, 16, 15, 20. Notice that? They're very close. They're all aligned very closely. So when you look at this, you can say the great 18-year real estate cycle. This is the peaks in land value cycle over time. Here's the interval, 18, 18, 18, 18, 17, 18, 48, 6, 10, 17, and we're getting back into a normal cycle. Peaks in construction cycle. They're just a hair longer or a hair different than the 18 years. They're very close. And then peaks in the business cycle, if you were to look at it this way, 18, 20, 16, 20, 25, 11, big old 44, 7, 10, 18. So those are the cycles. The real estate cycle, it just goes recovery, expansion, oversupply, recession, and then it just repeats over and over and over and over. Over time, real estate values move in a continuous cycle. In practice, the cycle is never a perfect sine curve. Each phase of the cycle will have a different amplitude and period. A complete cycle may take 10 to 15 years. And here's the amplitude that we went over. It's just the size of the wave. And what I am guessing is that we were on such a low in real estate housing starts for new homes that I think the amplitude of this next cycle could be quite large. It has the possibility of being large because of how many homes that are underbuilt in the market. Doesn't mean it will, but it has the possibility to be one of the largest, which means we could have one of the largest inflation moves towards us. And I think we're seeing it right now. So here's the real estate cycle again, just to show you recovery phase, expansion phase as this cycle moves on up, hypersupply, and recession. We can see decreasing vacancy rates on the upside, increasing vacancy rates on the downside. That's mainly what we're looking at. And prices, usually what happens is you see prices go up in the recovery phase and they really start to take off in the expansion phase. I'm going to show you kind of what that looks like. So if you look at the real estate cycle, it's increased rent prices in an expansion phase, accelerated new construction, that's our housing starts. When we go into an oversupply phase, we've got an oversupply, high vacancies, and then we have a declining prices, rent, construction, all going down in this recession phase down here. And then eventually you hit an absorption of the excess supply. The inventory starts to go down in this cycle here, and we've got low vacancies. So all the inventory gets eaten up here. We get massive increased rent and home prices. We build, overbuild, and then it just goes over and over and over. Now, when tying the market versus the economy cycle, they call it the economy cycle, but really it's just the real estate cycle. When you tie this all together, we got at market bottoms. Think of it as a recession in the real estate, because the real estate cycle goes into recession just before this market bottom. It's the economic cycle's delayed just behind it, and that's why we use it as a leading indicator, the housing starts. We want to be in finance, technology, and cyclicals. Remember when I talk about previous ones that you want to be in stocks like technology and stuff. And then you want to ride that in the recovery phase. This is the recovery phase, basically. And you want to be in tech, cyclicals, and finance, technology, industrials, and basic materials. You want to swap right here when you go into an expansion phase. And when you go into an expansion phase, you want to get in those basic materials, energy, and staples. And that's where we're at right now. We're right here. This one here is wrong. I got this. They wrote this on here. I think we're in the cycle right around here. We're moving on up. We want to be in energy, basic materials, and staples. Energy, staples, and healthcare is going to be next. And then healthcare, utilities, and finance will be on the back side. So I think we're in this section here, but we're earlier in the section. We're like right in here. We're somewhere in this section up here. So that's how I wanted to tie this all together. I wanted to let you guys know, kind of get in this rhythm. So your holding periods are going to be more like an 8 or 9 year holding period, or 5 to 10 years. It's an approximate. If your holding periods are 5 to 10 years, that's the rhythm that you need to think about in your investments. 5 to 10 years, 5 to 10 years, 5 to 10 years. That's what you have to think. You need to be accumulating at bottoms for maybe a year or two. Then you hold on, and then you're going to rotate into something else 10, 15 years out. Or you can hold on to some of these companies. Commodity companies, they get decimated, so you want to hold those for 5 or 10 years and then rotate into technology is probably the one that I'm going to go into at that bottom. Right now, we're at a top. Technologies is not it. We could see one little blow off top that's left, but I'm not trying to catch that last little inch. I'm going into the undervalued sectors. That's where I'm going to live. That's where I'm going to accumulate, and that's where I'm going to hold those undervalued commodity sectors. If you guys like this clip, give me a thumb up, please. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed yet. And thank you for listening. This is Finding Value.